My name's Eric, and today we're going to be talking about the GRIFFIN Armament MK2 CQB rifle. Go ahead and roll the intro. Hey guys, thanks for checking out another Hatchet Cast episode, and today we're going to be talking about the GRIFFIN Armament MK2 11.5 CQB rifle. Now before we get started, make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button. It really does help out the channel. But the biggest help, like the most underground movement way of helping the channel, because YouTube limits our reach and how we can get videos out to people, share this video or another video that you've gotten something out of with a friend or a family member. If we get people that are sharing our videos to people that could actually use the information, that will boost the channel in a big way, and it's an underground movement way to be able to work around YouTube's black boxing. So if you guys can, share that. Also, check out the comment section if you've run a GRIFFIN Armament product in the past, or also run the MK2 CQB or any MK2 rifle. Comment below your experiences. If you have questions about anything regarding anything, guns or gear or whatever, go check out the comment section. There's tons of people down there who have a lot of knowledge that are willing to help you out, and it's a great community. So today we're going to be talking about this rifle. Now, disclaimer, we were given this rifle last year. I want to say around September is when we got this rifle in. So GRIFFIN Armament did provide us with this rifle. It is a SBR rifle, and so that is the disclaimer. We did get this without paying for it from GRIFFIN Armament. Now, what I will say about that is we wanted to give it a really fair shake and an honest assessment, just because I really like GRIFFIN Armament, but I wanted to make sure that we did our due diligence in providing you guys a solid outlook and test on this system. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into the specs, and then I'll talk about some of the features that are on the MK2 CQB. And then I'll talk about application and usage and my overall experience with the gun and how it has been doing for me. And then we'll wrap it all up with a conclusion and talk about ways that you guys can support the channel at the end. So let's just go ahead and jump right into the specs. All right, so the specs on this bad boy. Now, one of the things I'm going to say about the specs when it comes to this rifle is the fact that it is a 100% GRIFFIN manufactured, made and produced. Every single part is made at GRIFFIN Armament. Now, I did swap out some parts on this gun, but what's really, really cool, from the furniture to the buttstock to the handguard to the barrel, was made by GRIFFIN Armament. So what you can expect, this is a GRIFFIN Armament the barrel is a 416 SS HEDP barrel. It has their GRIFFIN Armament enhanced bolt carrier group with a forged upper and lower type 3 hard coat anodized upper, fully ambidextrous lower, and we'll talk about that, with a 60-degree flared magazine well and integrated trigger guard. Now, it does come with their A3 grip and enhanced trigger guard. I did swap out the grip module, but we'll talk about that. It has the maritime receiver extension, which if you look at GRIFFIN Armament's buffer extension, or their buffer tube, it does have little holes in it for drainage. It does have the GRIFFIN ECS Extreme Condition stock. So we do have the suppressor optimized buffer as well. It looks like a hydraulic two-piece buffer system. It's actually really interesting. As we're going through the specs, what's really cool about this gun is you can tell from tip to stern, I'm not a sailor, but whatever, it is definitely optimized and well regulated, because it was built by people who build suppressors, and those guys are always thinking about suppression in mind. And so From the buffer system to the barrel to the gas port size to everything about this, the charging handle, it is all optimized for suppression and to be well regulated. So as you're listening to the specs, it's something I want you guys to pay attention to, is that it is a very well thought out rifle. It does have the Griffin rail shield. It's a 4-piece panel kit. Understand, you can buy all of these accessories from Griffin Armament separately if you want to add them onto your own AR. They also have the Griffin Low Pro rail system, as well as the Griffin Primo gas block. It is pinned, as well as a silencer muzzle device, which you can go in the drop-down menu on the website whenever you're picking out your own CQB rifle and have whatever muzzle device you want put on there. And then also there's some Griffin dimpled takedown pins. Now, the biggest thing we're going to look at and ask is price. So as far as price point, it's actually a really decent price point considering what you're getting for your money. And it's about $1,700 on the website. Also, Griffin Armament is always running sales and different kinds of specials and stuff like that. So it is definitely a very well priced, and I think you get a big bang for your buck with the price point and the rifle system itself. So now that we've talked about the specs, let's talk about some of the features that I really enjoyed and also my overall experience with the Mark II CQB. All right. So let's talk about the very tip right here. I have the Dual Lock 7 suppressor from Griffin Armament, and I do have their A2 flash hider type of I do have the A2 flash hider looking muzzle device. Now, what's really cool about Griffin Armament's flash hiders and the dual lock system is one of the best ways to mount a suppressor where it's repeatable, meaning it doesn't overturn or underturn whenever I'm mounting the suppressor. That is the taper mount system that prevents that from being inconsistent. What happens is whenever I have a suppressor that's overturned or underturned and not going to the exact same spot every time, is it will cause a point of impact shift. So meaning, I have the suppressor on, I shoot a group, I take the suppressor off, and then I put the suppressor back on and shoot a group. If it's inconsistent or it has I'm overturning or underturning it, it will shift my group and my zero will change. So whenever I take it off and put it back on and it doesn't shift, that means that this suppressor and the mounting system has a really good POI. And so with their muzzle device, they have a tapered muzzle device at the front, so that way that suppressor doesn't underturn or overturn, and then it has another lock that locks onto a set of teeth that prevents that from backing off. So as far as their muzzle device and their suppressor systems, check out their suppressors. They're awesome. They're super cool. With the suppressor, we did a review specifically on the Dual Lock 7, so make sure you guys go check out that video. It is, a little while back, but check out the Dual Lock 7 suppressor. It's a really amazing suppression system. Let's talk about the rail. Now the rail is really locked on there. It's their Low Pro rail, so it's not super fat. It also has kind of that rounded type of look to it. It is M-LOK. Now what's really good about having a very robust rail system is whenever you're running night vision and you're using lasers, any type of shift in that rail is going to cause you to lose zero when it comes to your laser device. So having your rail as rigid and as solid as possible is going to be a lot more conducive for night vision type stuff. So that is something I really liked. It's also not a massive mongoloid looking handguard, and so that's aesthetically pleasing. Now, as far as the barrel itself, it's a heavier profile barrel, and it's actually in 223 Wild. And what's really cool about that barrel is, yes, it's a little bit heavy as far as the gun overall, but it takes a while to heat up, and it has real good consistency whenever I'm firing the rifle after a long string of fire. Now, as far as total round count on this thing, we are nearing 10,000 rounds already with this rifle. We have shot 55 grain through it. We've shot M855 green tip. We've shot M855A1 through it. We've put frangible through it. We've done steel case, a little bit of steel case through it, and it has performed flawlessly with all of those different cartridges and projectiles. So I've been super impressed. In fact, I've literally beat the living tar out of this thing. I've used it in classes. If you guys have taken a fighting carbine class with me, you probably see me use this thing. I've used it during the night vision class. We had an element training center. I was running this rifle. To include the fighting carbine course, I was running this rifle. So it has a ton of rounds on it. Like I said, we're getting close to about that 10,000 round mark. One of the things that I did notice about this is that because there's not a lot of excess gas bleeding out of the gas block, usually whenever you're running a, like when I run like a Daniel Defense Mark 18, the Rise 3, or some other rifle that's a shorty, my hand usually gets covered in carbon because there's a lot of excess gas bleed off where that gas block is. And when I shoot this rifle, I don't get that a ton of gas bleed off near the gas block, which is really nice. So one, they are taking the time to pin that gas block on there to make sure it doesn't shift. And also, Griffin Armament has been known for like precision. It's owned by two brothers, I believe, that are like ex-Army snipers. So it's a big deal for them to be kind of guys that pay attention to detail. So yeah. Now on the bottom, I do have a Picatinny rail section. I'm running a modified Knights Armament foregrip on there. I do have a Reptilla light body on each side with a PEC 15 full power laser on the front of it. With the right side, I'm running the infrared flood from Malakov. I think it's a Malakov IR flood head. Yeah, Malakov IR flood. And on the other side, I'm running a mod light. I'm about to switch out the mod light. It keeps giving me problems, so have had it come on when I don't want it to and flick off when I wanted it on. So probably going to end up switching that out for maybe a Surefire or I'd even strip it off for a Streamlight at this point. Kind of working my way back. The riser I'm using is an American Defense riser. The Unity riser is actually used on a different rifle right now. I'm running the EOTech EXPS3, and it has the night vision version. All right, I love the EOTech. We also have a video on the EOTech, so if you're looking at getting into the EOTech or getting into night vision shooting, go check out our EOTech video. You might have to do a little bit of a search back, but it's in there. I think it might say like best night vision optic or something like that, but love that optic. Now, as far as the upper and lower receiver is standard upper receiver, nothing really crazy about that. But what I want to talk to you about is the ambidextrous lower receiver. And if you guys have heard me before in the past, I've talked about how much I would love for companies to make ambidextrous controls on a lower receiver the standard. And also, at least at a minimum, flaring your magwells. Well, I'll tell you what, Griffin Armament has done that. They have flared their magwell, and thank goodness. What I love about the upper and lower receiver, outside the flared magwell, which you guys are amazing for that. Thank you so much for doing that. I don't feel like it takes that much time to flare the magwell, but they have that luxury because they make everything in-house. So they flared out the magwell, and as far as the ambidextrous controls, it is really, really nice. The cool thing about the bolt lockback on the right side is it is not just a bolt close, it actually will lock back. So you can open and lock open your bolt with the ambidextrous bolt lock and also release the bolt by swiping it down. As far as ergonomics, it is so natural. Like it is, even as a lefty, I use a bad lever if I am using a standard mil-spec lower, but for this lever to be right there by the mag release, it is so easy to hit and it's just so natural. The mag release, or excuse me, the bolt lock on the other side is also an oversized bolt lock. So like, kind of like you have the Geisley Maritime bolt lock and bolt release. It's oversized. They made the ping pong paddle oversized, and they also have like these little like grippy lines put on it. I can't remember what it's called. Knarling, I think it's called. As far as the mag release, it is by far my favorite mag release to date on a lower receiver. What's really cool is it's not overly hard to push to get the mag release to come out, or to get the magazine to drop. And it's also not too easy to hit where it just drops when I accidentally bump it. If you actually look by the mag release, there is a little bit of an indentation that comes out that protrudes where your trigger guard's at to protect that mag release from being accidentally bumped. That's like, those are the small details where you can tell that this company has definitely thought about everything when it came to their lower receiver. What I do appreciate also about the Griffin Armament lower receiver with the Mark II specifically is that it has a very mil-spec looking aesthetic. It's not like super sleek and have all these extra designs. I love that it's a very mil-spec looking lower receiver. In fact, it almost looks just like a standard mil-spec lower. And I love that. They integrated the trigger guard also into the lower receiver, and they made it where it's big enough for like gloves and stuff like that to be in there. So if you're shooting in an Arctic environment, or if you're fast roping, if you're in military law enforcement, honestly, in my opinion, civilians should be able to learn how to fast rope too. So, but if you got to put gloves in there, you can stick your finger in that trigger well and make it go. As far as the safety levers and the safety selector, love it. It is. I keep saying everything I love. This gun has just really impressed me, so I'm going to say I love it a lot. But the safety selector is ambidextrous. It's not a short throw. It's a standard full throw, and it is very, very tactile. And so as far as that, it's very similar to like a mil-spec style safety selector with their little bit of flare on there, and I really love that. So it's short on the right-hand side, and it's a little bit longer on the left, and I think that's absolutely fantastic. As far as the takedown pins, they have the little dimples. So you ever see where guys buy the takedown pins when you're building an AR and you buy the ones that have the little dimple in there? They did that already as a standard for their Mark II. And they do offer it with a grip. Now I swapped out the grip for a Di-Frico grip. I love Di-Frico grips for short guns. So I got one on my 300 Blackout. I got one on my CQB. I really enjoy the Di-Frico grip. It's very aggressive vertically. And when it comes to these straight up and down grips, dude, it's like there's no in between. People either love it or they hate it, and I love it. So it to each their own, but I really do enjoy that grip. Now on this, for the charging hand, their bolt. The bolt carrier group is a Griffin Armament made bolt carrier group. It is a enhanced bolt carrier group, and it's very, very well tuned. It matches up perfectly to the breech of that barrel. There's no excess gas that comes out through the ejection port into my face, which I really appreciate. And for me, whenever we were shooting it, like I'm ejecting at like 4, 5 o'clock unsuppressed, and when I'm suppressed, it's like 3, sometimes 2. That is a perfectly regulated gun. It is super soft recoiling because it's so well regulated. And also with their charging handle, they have a new charging handle, and it's actually called the Snatch 2. They had a Gen 1 version, now they have a Gen 2, and it actually has a small curve at the back of the charging handle that redirects the excess gas from the charging handle forward away from the shooter's face. Now, I don't know if you guys have known this, but right now they are actually linking the possibility of cancer due to heavy metals from guys who shoot suppressed all the time. So don't take this as medical advice. I'm just saying that there are some studies out there that are linking those two things. So anything that you can do if you're shooting suppressed, to minimize how much gas you're getting in your face is something to think about. Maybe even not shooting a suppressed that often. I personally love the fact that they have this gun so well regulated and everything is optimized to make the shooting experience nice for the end user. As far as the gassing, when I shoot suppressed, I usually eat the gas so bad. The only thing that has really blown my mind as far as outside of the Mark II is like the Huxworks flow-through can. It has really good at regulating the gun that is overgassed. Whereas Griffin Armament, they've made a rifle that is well regulated, and they have suppressors that have an EcoFlow type system on it, which is it's almost like the RC3 is like this groundbreaking like flow type thing, and Griffin Armament's been doing it for years. So it's really, really cool to see a company like that is thinking so much about building a quality product that is well regulated, because when you do that, you have a very low recoil, extremely efficient gun. Now, as far as the distance on this has been stretched out to 500 yards easy. We were actually also at Element, and I was stretching this out at their precision range, their 600-yard bay, and it was very easy to do, running the Unity magnifier with the EOTech 3X magnifier, and you can definitely stretch this puppy out to 500, 600 yards easy. All you gotta do is make sure you observe your splash and make your corrections. It does have a QD attachment on the rail that does come with the gun, so that is really, really nice. And I think it's honestly something that should be an obligatory accessory that comes with rifles. QD points for your slings are so common now, it should not be an extra accessory that you put on the gun. It should be a part of the gun, or you make the accessory available already when they purchased a rifle. And so Griffin Armament did that, which I really love. And I talked about their flip-up iron sights before, but I'm gonna talk about it again. Their flip-up iron sights, their backup iron sights are very high quality, and they just have a very minimalist type look, and it looks really, really cool. They're made out of made out of metal. They do have shims to take out some of the extra play and make it really, really firm and rugged on the rifle, so that way you don't end up losing it, and it's also not gonna have any wobble. Overall, guys, like, I can't rant and rave about this rifle enough. It has literally blown me away at how much care and how well they thought this gun out. And I have been super happy with it. I, in fact, am probably gonna keep running this as like my main squeeze for a while. I do have the Magpul CTR stock on there. I just have a love for the CTR stock with our prototype cheek riser on there. And I really do like that. Talking about the back area here with the back plate, it does have a QD point. Like, duh, genius. Already like something, a natural upgrade, they already add that. And then the buffer system does have a set of holes in the back of it for draining out if you're going to have this gun in a water environment. So if a maritime environment or maritime operations, it does drain out that buffer tube. And the buffer itself is a hydraulic buffer that also helps with regulating recoil. So super, super nice. You can tell that these guys regulated the gun for suppression, and it is all built in-house. So anything that goes wrong, they can swap that out, and they can take ownership of something that goes wrong and replace it with a part that they make. So that's really, really cool. Overall, I think I said this already, but this gun is amazing. As far as like your application for these types of guns, it's obviously good for an urban or CQB environment. And one of the things that's really, really interesting about this is we're starting to see in Ukraine and all these other conflicts is that trench warfare and uptight close warfare is a thing. So having a shorter system is now something that we really need to start thinking about. Having a longer system is obviously good for, you know, being able to stretch that round out and kind of having that recce roll, quote unquote. But I think there is definitely a strong position. In fact, I think you should have a short system and a general purpose system that's a longer rifle. And that just gives you options. There's a reason why SOCOM has the, you know, the URGI uppers where they have a 14.5 and they have an 11.5. There's a reason for that, because it gives you, the end user, more options. Having two different uppers and one lower receiver is always something that is going to not really be a big hindrance to you. In fact, it's going to increase your capability. If you were going to get a rifle that out of the box was legit, I would go with the Griffin Mark II CQB for the shorter system. The one thing that I would say though, you do need to change out is I changed out the trigger. It does come with a stock mil-spec trigger, so it's a heavier trigger pull if you like that. But I did swap mine out for a Centurion Arms, I think they're sniper trigger. And so I really, really like that trigger. It's like a poor man's Geisley. You can also run a LaRue trigger in there, and that's also a really good one, a good bang for your buck. But upgrading the trigger is a very easy thing to do, and honestly, it's kind of like if they had put a nicer trigger in there, the cost of the gun would have to go up. So I think it's a really, really great system, really well priced, and you get so much for your money. As far as the Griffin, I would say it's out of the box ready. So definitely go out and check them out. Now that I've ranted and raved about that, let's go ahead and go into the conclusion. So guys, when it comes to the rifle itself, you can buy capability, yes, but the the rifle will only be complemented by the shooter, right? So we need to make sure that we are going out and we are training. A great way to support the channel is to come take a class with us. We do have some fighting carbine classes coming up. We have 2-day scope carbine classes and fighting pistol courses. So come out and train with us. Do check the website out and sign up for our class. Or also pick up some products. That's a great way to help us out and help support the channel. If you did get something out of this, please share this video or another video that you like with a friend or family member. And if you want to see any behind the scenes type stuff, go check out our Instagram page. We're also on X. And if you want to watch the HatchetCast podcast, it's a separate channel on YouTube, or you can watch the same HatchetCast podcast on our Spotify channel. And we record episodes every week, so go check those out. And it really does mean a lot to us for you guys to listen to those channels. I want to go ahead and read you, though, a quote from the book of Luke, chapter 21. And this is where Jesus is sitting in a crowd with his disciples, and he looked up and he saw rich people putting their gifts into the temple treasury, their little offering. And he also saw a poor widow, and she put in 2 very small copper coins, which was all that she had left. And Jesus said, "Truly, I tell you," he said, "this poor widow has put in more than all the others. All these people gave their gifts out of their wealth, but she, out of her poverty, put in all she had to live on." So guys, I think that what I want to leave you with is, one, if you do not know Jesus and you would like to know who he is, hit us up, give us a comment. We'd love to send you guys a Bible and tell you about the amazing news of salvation that will bring peace and calm to your life, take away all anxiety, and literally give you purpose that is eternal. You know, there are so many people in the Barrel and Hatchet community, and you guys are just absolutely amazing. And with this community, there's also things like pain and suffering, and people who are suffering from depression or anxiety or loss. And so we wanted to put out to you guys that if you have any prayer requests, even if you're not a Christian, we would love your prayer requests, and we'll be praying, one, that you become a believer and that you can find comfort in Jesus and his presence and being a part of his kingdom. And if you are a believer, please join us in praying for our fellow community members here in Barrel and Hatchet. And also, go out and be a witness to people like your family members and your friends. We can train all day utilizing rifles and utilizing equipment, but if we're not reaching the lost or training our soul and our spirit to be ready for eternity, then we're kind of missing that point. So we would love to see all of you guys become believers and join us in our family with Jesus. And also, if you are a Christian, the time for closet Christians is over. So make sure you go out and witness to people that you love and that you care about. At the end of the day, guys, it all matters is you. You are the asset. So train to be the eternal asset. Bring love, joy, and peace to others through Jesus. And we'll see you guys on the next one.